Hey there, my name's Jacob. I'm probably not alone in thinking this past year has been a lot. COVID changed everything for me. I lost both of my jobs over one weekend in March. I played in bands that all came to a standstill, and I was left wondering just where does I fit into all this? Funny thing is, this year also gave me some time to start to figure that out, and I actually feel pretty good, which is something I'm not sure I should be feeling. So many people have lost so much. So I got curious. I wanted to hear about other San Diegans' experiences with COVID-19, but I wanted them to be able to speak for themselves. So I created a voicemail, printed some posters and hung them around town, put together a little trailer for social media, all asking San Diegans how has this year of lockdowns and for some reason toilet paper affected their lives, and where they think we go from here. Here are some of the messages I got, plus a chat with a caller where we explore the effects of COVID and alcohol on one's sense of smell and taste. Thanks for tuning in to The Listening Machine.
Hello, this is Dave. I would like to tell the story of when I think that I had COVID. So I went to the NAMM show in January of 2020, and I went to the Death by Audio booth, and the dude working there was sick. And the big thing about that entire show, where there's millions of people from all over the world just stewing about, breathing on each other, is that you test out different audio effects by putting on headphones and taking a microphone and speaking into it, and you listen to the sound of the effect. I spoke into this microphone, and I then smelled the microphone, and it smelled like you just dragged it across Satan's boiling back hair. It smelled so bad. It smelled like pure disease. And then I kind of forgot about it. And this is in January, so it was before COVID full-on totally hit. That next day, I was like, I don't feel so good. And then it was just every day from there, I just got 100% worse until I was so unbelievably sick. And no smell, no taste, but that was the least of the concern. It was the worst coughing I've ever experienced. The lung thing, that was 100% true. It was like every time you would breathe, it was like opening a grilled cheese sandwich and closing it back up. It was terrible. Don't get it and get vaccinated. And I'm so glad this experience is almost over and we can all go back to the maybe lives we had before that with probably some slight modifications.
It's been a couple of months since Dave left this voicemail, which coincidentally means it's also been a couple of months since I've eaten a grilled cheese sandwich. According to data gathered by the CDC, the first case of COVID in California was confirmed on January 26, 2020, a mere week after that musicians' trade show Dave attended. There are no indications that this particular event was a significant vector for the spread of COVID, but we do know that large gatherings like this, that drew attendees from across the world, served as super spreader events early on in the pandemic. One example was the Biogen Medical Conference that took place in Boston last February. According to a study published in the journal Science, that one event led to a staggering 300,000 COVID cases worldwide. So, as we slowly start to pull ourselves out of the COVID hole we've been living in for the past year, are these events a thing of the past? For a tourist hub like San Diego, that could be devastating. But massive cultural events like Comic-Con, which typically attracts over 135,000 attendees and generates an estimated $147 million annually for the San Diego economy, are starting to power back up, with the festival recently announcing an in-person event over Thanksgiving weekend. But how do we ensure safety? According to guidance released by the CDC, our best defenses are actually pretty familiar. Wearing masks, and yes, that means over your nose, social distancing, washing hands, avoiding poorly ventilated areas, and, you guessed it, getting vaccinated. But after a year of mask and vaccine culture wars and loosened CDC guidelines, are people even interested in playing it safe? And can anyone agree on what safe really is?
Hello, my name is Jessica. I was calling about the one-bedroom, one-bath that you have available on Juniper. If you could please give me a call back.
Hey, listening machine. Just wanted to contribute. One aspect of the pandemic that affected me was how each decision I made was judged for whether I was too paranoid about COVID or if I was taking it serious enough. Like the decision to wear a mask early on or going to dine out at restaurants when they barely became open again. But I also found myself unwillingly judge my family and friends with how they decided to handle the pandemic as well. Some friends were very reckless and not concerned with catching the virus, while others stayed at home and decided not to see anyone besides video calling. I've even heard of some people dropping their friends based on how they've handled the pandemic. Now it seems to be an issue of whether we are getting vaccinated or not, and while I see it as a completely personal decision, it's hard not to see it as a public health issue. Sometimes it's hard to have your friends since childhood make decisions that don't exactly align with your beliefs. My friends all respect each other and their decisions, which is important, but you start viewing people in a different light.
A year in and out of isolation, compounded by the politicization of everything, has wreaked havoc on many relationships. Unexpected topics are suddenly touchy subjects, and distance has not necessarily made the heart grow fonder. Early on in the pandemic, French social scientists carried out a study to assess the impact of the first lockdown on the general public, and they found that people were experiencing a phenomenon they termed relationship funneling, a process by which some relationships are prioritized and thereby strengthened, while others simply fizzled out. In fact, according to a UC Davis Health news release, the casual relationships in our lives, like your gym buddy, your office pal, or that guy you know from the bar, have been almost completely eradicated. Kay Hermanson, a clinical psychologist at UC Davis, says, quote, "Those are important pieces of our emotional lives that we're missing. It's like our emotional picture is still in color, but there are some hues that are completely washed out," end quote. So, COVID may not have hit us all directly, but in the same way a gust of wind can change the trajectory of an arrow, all of us have been, in big or small ways, altered.
Yeah, pre-pandemic, I played bass in a cruise ship band, and now I'm driving pizzas around town and working as a middle school math teacher's aide. My brother got COVID back in July, June, and he lost his sense of smell and taste, and he still can do the sensations like sour, spicy, salty, sweet. He can taste those, and he gets very brief instances of smell when he's around like cigarettes or gasoline. And he's also found that when he's drunk, his sense of taste improves. So we've got a couple theories about that. My number is 760-7.
After the break, we have a chat with this caller and his brother about their experiences with COVID-19 and ask, what's booze got to do with it? Stick around. Lots of podcasts say, we couldn't do this without your support, but I literally could not make this podcast without your calls. One of the biggest reasons people give for not calling is that they didn't go through anything special or noteworthy over the COVID-19 pandemic, and that's the exact assumption this project is trying to dispel. We all have unique stories, thoughts, and perspectives, and I'm hoping this can be a platform to express and explore them all. So please, if you live in San Diego or the surrounding area, leave a message at 619-736-8976 or visit thelisteningmachine.com. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Hey, Jake.
Hello. Hey, how's it going, Evan?
Good. How about you, man?
I'm doing good. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions?
No, fire away.
Excellent. Okay. First off, how are you? Are you still driving pizzas around town? What's your situation?
Yeah, I am still doing that. Yeah.
You enjoy it?
I do. I like how it's a very mindless job. I don't have to think at all, and it's kind of meditative for me, honestly, just to listen to music and podcasts and drive around and cut pizzas. It's fun for me, and I love pizza. My favorite food.
Pretty relatable sentiment. So are you hoping to get back into music once shows pick up?
I have had a couple gigs since then. I played a wedding pretty recently with a big band, which was a lot of fun. Not really planning on going back to the cruise for a couple reasons, but yeah, I was supposed to be on the ship for a lot longer than I was. I was only on there for a month. I started in late January, and so we were hearing like murmurs of it. And around February, that one ship in Japan had that crazy outbreak, and we were all like, yeah, whatever, it'll go away. And then, like the very beginning of March, we got on the ship, and they had a meeting where they're like, okay, so you guys are not allowed to go into the guest areas for the time being. Like, just play it safe. And then, things just ramped up and got out of control. And so after 2 weeks of like semi-normality, all the guests got off the ship, and we just kind of were anchored at sea trying to figure out what was going on. So I was lucky. I was only on the ship for 2 weeks after operations shut down, but some people were on there for quite some time.
Did you guys have any positive cases on your ship?
No. Yeah, we were lucky. No positive cases, as far as I know. Yeah. Yeah.
What a time to start out in the cruise ship industry.
Yeah. But I'm pursuing a teaching credential now, and hoping to start the program in the fall. So we'll see.
Are you looking forward to the possibility of teaching?
Yeah, I am a lot. I'm looking forward to being in a career where I can make like a real difference. Both my parents are educators, and I have a ton of family members who are teachers and former educators. When I was growing up, I never thought to myself, oh, I'd love to be a teacher. But as time has gone on, it's like, wow, like I love to teach. I love working with kids. I need that health insurance too.
So I also wanted to ask, how's your brother?
Oh, well, he's good. He's actually in the house right now. If you want to ask him any questions.
He is, really. Actually, yeah, I had a couple
he's here.
Questions I was going to ask you about him.
Yeah.
That would be great. Sure, I'd love to talk to him.
Let me see if he's down to talk. He was here like 10 minutes ago. Let's see. Hey, Austin. You want to talk to a podcast guy? About your experiences with COVID. Right now? Yeah, sure. All right. Hello?
How's it going? My name's Jacob.
Hi. Hi, Jacob.
What was your name?
I'm Austin.
Your brother Evan, he briefly mentioned how you got COVID, and how your sense of taste and smell had been kind of torpedoed since then. So I wanted to ask you a couple questions about that, if you're cool with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So kind of overall, what was your experience like during COVID?
Yeah, I think I had slightly worse symptoms than most people in my age group. It started out with a fever that lasted maybe 2 or 3 days. For the most part, it was a lot of just body aches. I lost my sense of taste and smell completely after about the 3rd day. I didn't really start feeling better till maybe about a week in.
And do you mind if I ask how old you are?
Yeah, I'm 21.
When did you get COVID?
Last June.
And has your taste or smell improved at all?
It's improved slightly, but it's been at a bit of a plateau right now. And what I can smell and taste is altered to like a decent amount. I can't taste things the way they used to taste, and my sense of smell is really pretty limited.
That's interesting. I read reports of COVID not only decreasing people's smell, but like you said, also altering the way they perceive certain scents. I was reading this report about a woman who was saying that wine and coffee now smells like gasoline to them, and like certain meats now smell rotten and stuff like that. So you say that you have experienced sort of some stuff like that?
Yeah, I have. Some of the big ones that I notice are citrus. I have a hard time eating citrus now because it tastes nothing like it. I can't even really pinpoint what it's like now. Same goes for mint. I had the same issue with meat for a while too, but that one's improved.
Do you still enjoy the same kind of foods that you did before all of it?
For the most part, yeah. It's definitely decreased my appetite a bit. Food isn't as enjoyable to eat now because flavors aren't as strong or some things are altered. I focus less on flavor and more on texture when I eat, which wasn't really an issue before.
Your brother in his voicemail, he also mentioned that your sense of smell, you noticed it gets better when you're drunk.
Yeah, we were laughing about it. And I have a friend who also had COVID, and she was saying the same thing. When we've been drinking, we feel like our sense of smell has been better. Maybe that's just because we're drunk and we're thinking that. I was saying that maybe it has something to do with numbing of certain, I don't even know, like nerves or whatever. I don't really know the science behind it at all, so I'm just kind of speaking out of my ass. But
yeah, no worries.
I thought that was kind of interesting how others felt the same about it, though.
I tried to do a little digging, and I didn't find anything specifically that was related to alcohol and COVID and smelling, but I did find a study from 2014 by the Wiseman Olfaction Research Group where they had participants try to identify which of 3 jars of oil contained a certain highly diluted scent. They first tried this after the participants drank a small glass of grape juice, and then the day after, they tried it after participants drank a small glass of vodka. And it turned out that after drinking the vodka, participants whose blood alcohol content was below 0.06 were actually able to identify the highly diluted scents better than they could on the day they drank the grape juice. And in a second test, researchers had participants sniff 3 scents to identify which one differed from the others. And again, a low amount of blood alcohol content made it easier for people. So you guys may be onto something. But, and there's a big but here. Yeah. Researchers also found that high blood alcohol content, like above 0.06, actually made the tasks harder.
I'll have to try this with various levels of alcohol. See.
Yes.
Got to experiment with it a little more.
Yeah. If you do, I would love if you could give me a call back. It's not the most scientific study, but I think it would be. I'd love to hear about it.
And that's all I've got for you today. I really want to thank everyone that called in and left a message, and as for the rest of you, well, I hope to hear from you next time on The Listening Machine.